Everyone in Norfolk knew Admiral Evelyn Ward as the woman who could command an entire fleet without blinking, but not a single person knew that beneath her medals and immaculate uniform was a heart shattered by the one thing she could never achieve: motherhood. And no one, not even Evelyn herself, expected that the person who would change her life forever wasn't a high-ranking official or a decorated officer, but a quiet single-dad janitor whose 4 little girls wore mismatched shoes and red winter dresses. This is the story of how the woman the Navy rejected for being barren found a family in the most unexpected place, and how one man who'd lost everything taught her what it meant to be seen, chosen, and loved. Snow drifted softly against the glass walls of the Norfolk bus shelter, the kind of snow that muffled the world and made every breath feel a little heavier. Admiral Evelyn Ward sat on the bench in her pristine white uniform, shoulders bent, eyes fixed on the floor as if she could hide from the truth etched into her service record. Non-deployable. Medically unfit for childbearing. Unable to continue lineage for legacy command roles. That was the phrasing, cold, clinical, impersonal. The Navy didn't fire her. They didn't demote her. They simply stopped considering her for every major appointment she trained her entire life for. Evelyn had commanded ships, led fleet operations, saved lives. Yet here she was, feeling discarded because of something she had no power over. She had dreamed of being both a leader and a mother, but life had denied her both. The bus stop was nearly empty, except for one man and 4 little girls bundled in matching red coats. The man stood with a calm patience that contrasted the winter storm, watching his daughters chatter and point at the falling snowflakes. His hair was slightly disheveled, his jacket worn, but his presence felt grounded, steady. The smallest girl tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy, she's sad," she whispered, glancing toward Evelyn. Evelyn heard it. She stiffened, embarrassed. She didn't want pity from strangers, especially not from children. But the father stepped forward anyway, his voice gentle. "Ma'am? Are you all right?" Evelyn raised her head, expecting judgment, or worse, recognition of her uniform and all the assumptions that came with it. But the man's eyes held none of that. Only genuine concern. "I'm fine," she said too quickly. One of the girls approached her with hesitant courage and held out a mittened hand. "You can sit with us if you're cold." It was such an innocent, soft gesture that Evelyn felt her throat tighten. But before she could respond, the bus pulled up and the moment dissolved into motion and noise. The single dad guided his girls on board, and as the doors shut, he gave her one last look, a look she couldn't understand yet. A look that would return to her in ways she never imagined. But at that moment, Evelyn believed she had nothing left to offer the world. She didn't know that fate was already stitching her life to the family that had just disappeared behind those bus doors. She didn't know that this stormy night was the beginning of everything. Admiral Hayes had been a Navy mechanic once, before tragedy rewired his world forever. His wife had died 2 winters ago, leaving him with 4 daughters under the age of 7. To keep their lives stable, he'd left the service and taken a janitorial job at the base. Steady hours, predictable schedules, no deployments. He cleaned the same hallways Evelyn used to walk with high-ranking officers. He knew her name, her reputation, her victories. But to him, she wasn't the admiral. She was simply the woman who looked unbearably alone in a crowd of salutes. Their paths crossed again 3 days after the bus stop incident. Evelyn was carrying a box of her belongings, awards, certificates, personal items from her office. She almost dropped it when the hallway lights flickered. Daniel, who had been mopping nearby, rushed over to steady the box. "You again," she murmured, almost surprised. "Glad to know I'm memorable." He joked softly, and for the first time in weeks she almost smiled. He walked with her to the parking lot, the snow crunching under their boots. "You don't have to help," she said, uncomfortable with being cared for. "Maybe I don't," he replied, "but I want to." Evelyn wasn't used to that. Everyone who helped her did so because of her rank, her authority, her influence. But Daniel wasn't doing it for the admiral. He was doing it for her. Before she could thank him, a chorus of voices shouted, "Daddy!" The 4 girls ran across the lot, scarves flying behind them, red coats bright against the snow. Evelyn watched them cling to him with unfiltered joy, their small hands reaching for his pockets, his arms, his attention. He introduced them one by one, Rose, Lily, June, and Hope, all named by their late mother. Hope, the youngest, walked up to Evelyn and placed a drawing in her gloved hand. It was a crude sketch of a woman in a white uniform standing beside a man and 4 little girls. "That's you," Hope said proudly. "You look sad." "So I fixed it." Evelyn's breath hitched. She had been erased from her career because she couldn't have children, yet here was a child drawing her into a family she didn't belong to. Daniel saw the emotion flicker across her face. "Kids are honest," he said softly. "They draw what they wish was real." He didn't realize then that his words were prophetic. He didn't know that his daughters would soon cling to Evelyn as if she'd always belonged in their lives, or that his heart, guarded, bruised, and tired, was slowly beginning to make room for someone new. And Evelyn didn't know that the very thing the world punished her for, her empty arms, would be the reason 4 little girls would someday run into them with all the love she was told she'd never have. The snow fell thicker, the wind colder, but something warm had sparked between them. Something fragile, unexpected, and unstoppable. Something that would change all 5 of their lives forever.